So I gather you've got some questions you'd like to ask me. I'll do my best to answer them. Shall we begin?
Is that what he said? That his keycard was stolen? Well, I don't think there's any way I could confirm or deny that for you, Mr. Miller. I'm not even sure what that would have to do with me. I don't believe it was stolen, so it would be futile for me to try and answer that. We were all responsible for our own key cards and security logins. Actual keys aren't used in this part of the building. It's all very cutting edge, so anything like that would have been solely down to Alex. That just seems like conjecture to me, Mr. Miller. It sounds far too convenient to say that he logged it as stolen on the day that it happened. If that's true, then where did he log it? At what time? Wouldn't security know about that? I'm sorry, but it's all a little too convenient for me. I wish I could do more, I really do, but unless you have a point, then I can't help you with that. I really don't understand that man's mind. He's hell-bent on dragging this company's name through the mud. Out of curiosity, what was his evidence? And I suppose I hid that from the police, did I? Well, like you said, there's no evidence at all. Thank you for your honesty, at least.
Did I? A few things around here probably still use keys. It's outdated if you ask me. You won't find anything in the facility that uses them, though. Our security protocol won't allow them. But I think the older areas still have the old-fashioned key and lock. No? Marlon Thornton, the cleaner, he's the only person who uses them for stock rooms and locker rooms, you know. Oh, that reminds me. If you're over at the Meta Centre later, you should take a look at the old Victorian baths. They're going to be knocked down soon, so you should take a look there before you go. No? They're just quite nice. I tell you what, I'll ask Marlon to open them up for you later on. If he's got time, then they'll be open for you when you go and have your meeting with Chance Crow. Anyway, he says he wasn't in the building. Well, I don't know how he'd be able to back up that claim. The police found him not too far away from here, that's true, but it was within walking distance. He could have easily got where he did in time, and there's a whole bunch of other evidence. I'm sorry, I just don't see how he thinks that's going to hold any weight. Like who? No, I don't think so. I think it's quite cut and dry. I can't imagine someone else over in the Meta Centre doing it. They like to sound like they know what they're doing, but most of them are incompetent. I know for a fact that some of them use their room number for their alarm code, for God's sake. Does that sound convincing to you? Alex was the only one who really knew what he was doing, and anyway, it's like I said, there was more evidence, wasn't there? Well, for example, the argument we had the night of the attack. Alex and I were having a heated discussion that night. I know that's somewhat anecdotal, but to me it's as good as gold in terms of evidence. Wouldn't you agree? Oh, that's that then. If Alex was telling the truth, then wouldn't it be obvious? You see, that's the problem, isn't it?
I understand that we need to take everyone's story into account, but there's an inherent risk with listening to the story of a desperate man. He'll say anything to try and escape justice, and people like you are duty-bound to listen to him. I don't know what I'd do if I spoke to him again. I don't think I'd be able to keep my cool. It must be an awkward position you're in, having to research such a terrible person. Well, maybe not professionally, but everyone has an opinion at the heart of it. Well, you're in a privileged position being able to disconnect yourself from it all. I wish all the employees here were so lucky. Let's carry on, shall we? Excuse me, what? I didn't say anything about an alarm code. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I must have misspoken. Everyone in the Meta Centre is very careful with their security. I wouldn't... well, let's not dwell on that. No, it was another office. Can we please move on to a different subject, Mr. Miller? Don't you have something about my work that you'd like to ask at all? A vendetta against him? Well, that was blunt, but honestly, I'm not surprised. I wondered if you'd bring this up. It's rather troubling, but Alex and I never seemed to get on. And on the night of the attack, he threatened me. I didn't want to make this publicly personal, but it looks like he has anyway. Yes, he left me a voice message. He was very angry about something, and he took it out on me that night. I have no doubts in my mind that man is guilty of everything they say he did. And I'm frankly amazed that anyone would stand up for him. No offence. I don't find anything about this to be fair, Mr. Miller. I'm sorry, I know it's just an expression, but I take being victimised very seriously. The damage that Alex Dubois did to this company still lives on today. I hope that at least some of this is useful for your book. I really do. He thinks I'm lying. That's not really news, Mr. Miller. I think anyone in the country could have told you what Alex thinks about what we do here. He has a twisted view of things. Out of curiosity, what is it he thinks is so bad about the act? Well, this is getting far-fetched. And I suppose I'm the one lying to the country. Don't answer that. I'm sorry, but I have to deal with this kind of accusation day in and day out. I guess it's an occupational necessity. No, and I don't suppose you will. The Union Act is a force for good, Mr. Miller, a force for peace and also ownership of our country. Is it going to please everybody? No, but in all honesty, what could? The protesters out there are chasing an impossible dream, and they're lining up in droves to blame everyone else for its shortcomings. But let me ask you this. You've been here all morning. Do you think we're the bad guys? Exactly. And I can't think of anything that would. Listening to Alex talk must have been convincing, I'm sure, but when you're confronted with the overwhelming evidence here at the facility, well, I'm just glad you get to see things firsthand.
Look, when you're dealing with a group, you have to represent them as a whole. There may be some shining examples of success out there, but it would be a lie for us to misrepresent all the ones causing the bigger problems. I shouldn't have asked you. It was unfair. You clearly don't understand the inner workings of what we do here. And that's admirable. I understand you have a job to do. Just make sure it doesn't interfere with ours, and I'm sure you'll do just fine. Okay, Mr. Miller, that's all I've got time for, I'm afraid. Can you please see yourself out?
Hi, I'm home.
The world is changing around us. I agree. I have no idea why you're still wearing the same clothes you were wearing in the 70s. I'm not going to change your mind on this tonight.
Molly, you'd better be in bed when I get up there.
Coop, will you talk some sense into your husband, please?
Well, I'm staying out of this one.
Right, on that note, I'll see myself out.
You and Carol still here for Sunday dinner?
Don't forget to pass that phone on to Sarah in the morning, okay?
Wouldn't miss it.
Well, Mr. Miller, thank you for being so respectful of the rules in our facility. You wouldn't believe the amount of people we have to tell to leave staff-only areas. I hope your meeting with Miss Burman was productive. Your next meeting is with Chance Crow very soon. Feel free to take a wander around in our gardens. I'll be waiting for you over in the Meta Centre when you're ready to begin.